Karpov was famous for preventing the plans of his opponents and somehow, like magic, completely outplay them. This is the kind of chess artistry that made him world champion. We will learn 3 lessons from his prophylactic chess style so that we can get a little closer to playing like Karpov. Karpov has the white pieces against Timman and they play this perk defense. He played this cute setup with g3 that I really got inspired by, and maybe you will too after this game. Here it's more normal for black to play either c6 or knight c6, because in the game he ended up playing knight a6, which usually has the idea of playing c5, but that would really weaken that d5 square. And after rook e1 and c6, we get our first prophylactical move, which is the move h3. The idea is that you want to make an exclusion zone for black's pieces so that they won't come closer to you and attack your center. Where rook e8 is showing that black really wants to make counterplay against that e4 pawn that he tries to make weak. So if that's black's only counterplay, then we really have to keep an eye out for that. Here Karpov played bishop g5 here with the idea of provoking h6 so that we can drop back with the bishop, put our queen up and threat the pawn and put the rook behind. Here Timman played queen c7, which is probably a mistake because it's a bit too passive. Instead he could have asked himself the question, what would Karpov do next? And queen d2 is of course the move next. And then perhaps he would see that king h7 is actually preventing queen d2, because then there will be some coordination problem, making the e4 pawn a little bit weak here. After the exchange in the center, white relied on that he could play this nice little move e5 here. Which typically would work, but not here, because after taking, there is a queen on d2 that is unprotected. So of course Timman should have played king h7 here, this prophylaxis, because queen c7 allowed queen d2. And here comes our first lesson from Karpov, and also the first beauty move, g4. The idea is to play knight d3 with the intention of overprotecting that pawn on e4. The lesson is overprotect to allocate resources. The point is that if you have an important point in your camp, then by overprotecting it, you will have more flexibility with those pieces. Additionally, you will also stop black's plan. So knight d3 is another prophylactic move. And after b5 coming here, a3 is another prophylactic move. At this point Timman got frustrated, so he tried to get active with this knight takes b4. The idea is to play a5, bishop a6 and really get something going. But after knight e2, there will come some exchanges on d4 and then a5, c3 pushes the knight back. And here comes our next beauty move and our next lesson. The move is queen c2 and the lesson is improve while weakening opponent. The key here is really to do it simultaneously, and this is what the greatest players really do so well, and this is what we have to practice. The idea is to protect e4, and if knight c5 comes, then we are ready for b4 and kick it back. So black has to remain passive here, and because of what Karpov taught us in lesson 1, then white has the flexibility to play knight f3 and coordinate his pieces here. And oh, I like this bishop f2, because like it's so harmonious. And after bishop e8 here, we get to our third and most important lesson, and also our third beauty move. You cannot just walk it in.
The thing about Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
This is of course a football analogy, that you cannot just pass, walk. You really do have to strike at one point. And Karpov was a striker, queen d3. Threatens e5 and the knight on a6. And after Timman had to protect it, queen b7 here, rook a1 won an important pawn. So lesson 3 is an important reminder that you stay sharp and grab those opportunities when they appear. And here bishop e3 covers not just f4 but also the square on f4, so that we can push back that knight and make it so weak. And white's position is of course very overwhelming here. And after these exchanges, that c5 pawn becomes so weak that when white grabbed it here at the end, Timman resigned. So game over. If you want to have more of these kind of videos recommended to you in your YouTube feed, please subscribe. And I can also recommend this one right here. And I'll see you in the next one.